Hi, this is Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. Happy Sunday to you. I believe it's, I don't even know what the date is, but no worries, it's July. I am coming to you live. I would like to show you a card that I made this week for my Stamping Fusion group. It is called the Fancy Fold Standalone Fold Technique. It's really an easy card. You can see the different styles that I made right here. Really nice. So I want to demonstrate this. It's something that can be folded and put into an envelope like this. And then it's taken out, and it's a standalone because in the back there is a little triangle that you have right here that you can use to stand these cards up really nicely on a mantle or on a desk. And with the way I'm going to show you to put this together, on the back is where you can put a sentiment or a note. So it's kind of a different type of kind of a note card. Very simple to make, and I'm going to demonstrate that now. Now, what I really liked about putting this card together is that I was able to use all the different suites that are currently, or most of the suites that are currently available in the new catalog. Here's the Old World suite. I used the DSP. You can see here I stamped on the back, and I did some stamping on the DSP. Here's another suite. I believe this is the Tasteful Touches suite, and I used DSP and I stamped on the back so you can make a really nice card. I stamped on the DSP. This is the Forever Greenery suite. Again, I used DSP, and then I just left an open area on the back. Just really gorgeous because when you fold it, it just kind of gives you a really pretty presentation with your DSP kind of showing on the front and the back. And then finally, the one that I'm going to, or actually this is the Tasteful Touches, but this is a different type of technique, and I'm going to demonstrate both. This is using cardstock, and I just stamped on here, and then I cut, and it kind of gives you a different effect because we're not using DSP, we're using 12 by 12 cardstock, and then you can go ahead and put this card together and then add some of the DSP on the front, but it's still a really nice card. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. What you're going to need to put these cards together is you're going to need the Tasteful Touches stamp set. You're going to need the dies that come with this, and I'm going to be using Misty Moonlight. You're going to need a couple of pieces of DSP, and I have this pack that I keep on my desk when I kind of make sure that I have DSP on hand. I'm going to pull out a couple of these because we're going to need those to cut, and I'm going to need a piece of DSP and Whisper White. These are 12 by 4 inches, and I'm going to have available on my blog, I'm going to have a very nice PDF that you can use that will give you some of the dimensions that I'm going to go through, and then how you can cut this. Here is my pattern, which basically shows that when we cut this, we're going to cut off this end, which is going to give us this triangle here. It's going to give us this triangle here, and then we're going to cut these two triangles, which are these two right here, and that is going to give us our little triangle pop-outs on the side. And then these two triangles we're going to cut so that we can slip them in and make our card stand up. So you're going to need some tools, and I have a couple of tools here. What I really like about this is that this is a ruler that will measure at 0 so you can find the center of your card very easily. And then I have a very small little steel ruler. I just got those this week and they've really helped me, because now that I'm doing more fancy folds, you really need to get the folds right. So there you go. Let's start out with a piece of cardstock, 4.5 by 4 by 12, and then we're going to go ahead and continue to do the cuts. So let's start out with the white cardstock first, and I'm just going to go ahead and put that there, and I'm going to grab a just going to grab a piece of kind of like my silicone mat, because we're going to do first we're going to do some scoring, and then we're going to do some stamping. So let's get your scoreboard, and let me show you how we're going to score this. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for letting me know where you're who's watching. Okay, so get your scoreboard, and you can tell that by this PDF, I just put 1 1/4 and 1 1/4 on one side. That's because 1 3/4 and 4.5. So that we are going to go 1 3/4 right here. We're going to score that. Now, when you score, do not do it fast. Do it slow, because what you're trying to do when you score is you're trying to break up that fiber. And then this is going to be 4.5, and here's 4.5. Again, we're just going to score deliberately. We're not going to press too hard. All we're trying to do is break up that fiber. Now turn this around and let's score those same measurements. 1 3/4 and 4.5 right there. And what that will create is it's going to create our centerpiece, our center card right here, and then we're now going to figure out the lines that we're going to cut. So I'm also going to do this with DSP. So while I have my scoreboard out, I'm going to score very deliberately 1 3/4, 4.5. I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to do 1 3/4 and 4.5 right there. If you're interested in fancy folds, I will be giving a workshop later in July, and it'll be on my blog, where I will just primarily just do fancy fold cards. You're welcome to register for that, because I'll be doing it on Zoom. Okay, so here are our cards, or our cardstock that has been cut. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to find the middle by measuring at the ends 3/4 of an inch. So let's just go ahead and get a piece of, and we're going to do this right on where our folds are. So you can see I've got my fold like right there, and I'm going to go ahead and, I don't know what this is here. Let me see if I can get rid of that. Okay. All right. So right on the folded cardstock, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure 3/4 here. And I'm going to make it over here, and I'm going to measure 3/4 there. And I'm just going to move this down on my cardstock and measure it right there. And this is important because this is going to be where we're going to start our triangle to cut our card. So let's just go ahead and do that. And that's 3/4, and we bring it up here, and that's 3/4. And I'm going to do the same thing on this cardstock. And I have, here's my fold, and I'm going to do it right here on the fold. So that's 3/4, and that's 3/4. I'm going to move down. I'm just running my finger. It's almost like Braille. I got to run my finger down and find where my fold is, and I'm going to put my ruler right on top of my fold, and then I'm just going to mark it right there like that. I'm running it down. There's a score line, my score line right there. Run it there. And that's 3/4. This paper looks like it's a little bit more than 3/4, but I'm just going to leave it like that because I think it'll still work out. So this is maybe like 1/8 larger, looks like 4 1/8 rather than 4. So let me find that other fold line. My score line's right there, 3/4. Just going to adjust that a little, 3/4. Okay, so I do have my lines here. There we go. We do have my lines. I can see them. I'm just kind of darkening these pencil lines so I can make sure that I know where they are, because this is going to be the outside of my card. So this is my inside. So I'm just kind of marking these because they're going to be my inside. Okay. So now that I've done that, I'm now going to use this ruler, which is kind of cool because this is called, it kind of measures 0. So if I can put this right here, I can figure out the center, and I'm going to pull in because like I said, I just think this is a cool tool for making a fancy folds. So this is the center of my card because this is 4 inches. Here's 0. It's 2 on either side, and I'm just going to go ahead and mark my center because the center is going to be important for where I want my triangles to go. So I'm just marking my centers here, putting the 2's and then going here where my 0, and just kind of marking that like that. I'm going to turn this one around this way so I can mark it this way. And that should be 2 and 2, 2 and 2, and then I'm just going to mark that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, I'm going to cut from here to here, and let me just draw this line so you can see. We're going to cut from here to here, and from here to here, okay? And we're going to do the same thing on this side. And oops, that needs to go up here. And I do this primarily because, and I have to be careful because when I did this live on my Stamping Fusion group, I cut too many triangles. So I want to be rather deliberate. So I am just going to go ahead and line up my center lines right there, because I want to ensure that I kind of cut like that. Now there's nothing goes cut here on this. We're going to cut, we're going to make an X over here on this panel here that's been scored. We're just going to make an X right here, very lightly. And we're going to make an X over here, very lightly. And this is probably the hardest part of the whole card. It's just kind of getting these lines down, so you can cut out these triangles. All right. So there, this one is this one's ready to be cut, and that is good. Now I'm going to do this one, and this one's a little trickier because it's hard to see this this paper. So again, I'm going to make sure that I have my middle, right? I want to have my middle right here, and that should be right about there. And I'm going to put my middle right here, which is going to be right about there. And we're just going to draw this middle here. This is the back of our card, but I just want to make sure that we just kind of have a nice guideline. And then we're going to go where our two, here's this fold, and I can fold this, and maybe I will go ahead and fold and use my bone folder so that we can see these lines a little bit better, because this is so we're going to fold it this way because this is the way the card's going to go. Okay, so I'm folding along my score lines. Okay, so hopefully that will make, so we should be able to see those indentations a little clearer, which we do. I can see them. So now we're going to take this middle right here, and I'm just drawing to where my fold line, where our 3/4 line was there, and we're just going to go ahead and we're going to do that. And I'm going to just go ahead and cut that just straight away because I think I can do that. Now I'm going to grab a mat that I'm going to bring in here, and I'm going to bring in my cutting blade. And this is a wonderful, this has a steel edge, so this will make a really good cutting edge for my paper. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut here, and I make sure when you cut, you just want to run your knife, run your knife first to make the score line, and then again, that's how you cut. You don't have to go very deep each time, because if you go very deep each time, what's going to happen is you're going to slip and cut your finger. And I have a little mark here where I cut my finger when I was in architecture school, because I was in a hurry and I was just trying to drag my knife straight through, and it slipped and it sliced my finger. Okay, so we're going to cut this one, and then we're going to cut this one. See, I'm just cutting this triangle on this side. I'm not cutting the triangle on that side. Okay, so do the same thing. I'm just turning it around, and we're cutting the triangle on this side of our paper. I'm just using my score knife. I'm just scoring very, very carefully right along, and there we go. And we'll do the same right here. I like this ruler because it's see-through, so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now I have those cut. These are the cuts I have to do. Oops, one more. This is my end cut. My end cut goes from the 3/4 that we measured to the center of the end. Okay, there we go. Turn it around, and we'll cut this one this way. Okay. So now we're going to have that one cut. All right. And that one should be, oh, not cut too well. All right, let's go back. Here we go. This is live. Now it is. I just had to do one more time to cut it. Okay. So this is cardstock. This is Whisper White cardstock. It's pretty thick. This is going to be our front. You can see I have these two little tabs at the end. All right, we want that. I'm going to set that aside because now I am going to endeavor to cut my DSP, which is a little harder depending on your DSP, using my blade, and this is a lot easier to cut. You can basically do that in one little thing. Okay, and there we go. I got that one. Okay, so now we're going to do, I'm just going to try to stay even. I've got this line here, goes to my center line. I have a pencil center line right there. Cut to the center line. there's my fold line, there's my pencil line. I'm going from there to my center line. Okay, so there's that cut. So I have my two end cuts. Now the tricky part now is that this is my center where nothing's going to be cut, and what I want to do is I want to pick up this fold line. So here's my center. So I want to pick up my 3/4 line there, and I want to go across to my center line, which is right there. And let me see how, oh, you know, I have to do this. I realize now I have to do this X. I was trying to get away with doing this X on this panel. I was trying to get away with doing this X on this panel here, but you need this X to find the point where your blade is going to stop. So we're just going to go ahead and do this lightly, and do this right here and right here, and we're going to do this right here, and where's there's my piece. If you use a graphite pencil, you will be able to see your graphite pencil kind of shines a little bit in the light. I don't know if you can see the graphite pencil. All right, now I'm going to cut. So I'm cutting these two triangles in the middle of there. So I'm going to line this up right here, and I'm just going to cut from my fold to this point. Just put my blade on my fold to that point, and then I'm going to do the same thing. Going to the fold, put the blade on the fold, and go to that point. Now that's my triangle. So you do need to make that X. So let's go ahead and do that on this side. And you just have to do one. This is DSP, it's not very thick, so you just have to run your blade through just very firmly once. Okay, so now we have the DSP and we have our white cardstock. So the next step, and let me just go ahead and put my blade together, is we are going to stamp our DSP. So I'm going to bring back in my silicone mat, and I'm going to bring my card, and let's see, what am I going to stamp my DSP with? I kind of like this this shape right here, which I think I'm going to use. Now this is my inside, so I'm going to flip this around. I don't want to stamp, well, I can stamp something on that. So let me just pull this out, because I'm sorry, I just want to make sure you can see. So glad. Hello, thank you for the compliment on a great tutorial. I do, if you ever take my workshops, you'll know that I do very good tutorials, and I appreciate a good tutorial as well. Okay, so now we're just going to use the stamp off technique. So I'm going to stamp off, stamp, and these kind of fit together, so you can kind of fit them together like that. And stamp off, stamp off. And this is my little point, my little, so I want to make sure that I get, see this? I want to make sure I get that triangle with my stamping. So I'm kind of just going down these sides to begin with. Stamp off, stamp off. And I'm going to turn this around, because these kind of fit nicely like there and there. See how they kind of fit together really, really nicely. And I love the color. I'm going to turn this way. I love the color of the, when you do a stamp off technique, of how the blue, especially this misty moonlight, just kind of gives such a nice, like an indigo, a denim blue kind of look. I just think that's really pretty. Okay, so now I want to do this area here, because we can do something else for, and I'm just gonna go down this, I'm going down the seam, the fold of my cardstock, and then I'm kind of turning this so I can kind of get this in, and you can just, you know, use a stamp off technique. And now I've got that stamped right there. So I'm going to turn this around. And again, I'm just going to stamp right down the center. Here's my fold line. I'm just going to go right down the center, and then I'm just going to turn this to make sure I can get some. And I'm a little cattywampus, but you know what? It really doesn't, it's still going to come out beautiful. I guarantee you it will come out. Now, these pieces right here, we're going to cut these off. So, you know, don't worry about those so much. It's these little pointy ones that we want. Now, this center part we're not going to cut off, but I kind of like leaving that just like that for now. And let me go ahead and clean my stamp, because I kind of like that like that. Now, there's something, if you want, you can use this as your outside piece, and which I think I may do, even though I made all these lines. I could use this as my outside piece. I wonder if I want to do that. I just love, yeah. I want to do that. Okay, so I made all these lines, right? So this is the beauty of this technique. We can go ahead and we can just stamp. We can just stamp on this. If you see those lines that you created, look, you just go ahead and stamp along those lines we drew. Okay, just stamp like that. Okay, and if we're going to leave this alone, but you can, I mean, you can stamp on that one too, right there. And this kind of gives it a really neat effect. See that? We just want to make sure if we have any lines, we're just going to, now don't worry about this one. You know, if you want to add, go ahead. So there you go. You can cover up your pencil lines like that. All right. And I was planning to use this side as our front, but let's change it up a little bit just so that you can kind of get an idea of how you can play with this particular folding card and these products from the Tasteful Touches, because I really love those products. Okay, so now we have our cards and they're stamped. So now we're going to get our scissors right here, and I am going to cut right up to that point where now I'm going to cut off these sides. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing over here, just these are the ends. So now we're going to cut up our sides, and we're going to cut off our sides. Okay, so now we have the card. Okay, and I'm going to put these aside, and let's go ahead, and I think I folded these. Yeah, I've already folded those. Okay, so there is our structure. Now, we have to, and I had a kind of a errant blade there, so I'm going to clip that. Okay, so now we have to fold these together. The way they go folded together is you're going to clip up to the center of this triangle and the center of that triangle from opposite sides so that you can slip them together. Okay, so let's start here, and believe it or not, I still have, let's do it this way. I still have my center line right there. Let me pull in so you can see. See, I have my center line right there. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to go along my fold line, and I'm just going to clip there. Then I'm going to turn it around, and if I did this side, I want to do the opposite side over here. There's my center line. I'm just going to clip up to there. So now I have the opposite sides. So now my card will, there you go. I've already made the structure of my card. So let's do the same thing over here. I'm going to cut both sides, and I want, this is the nice part about using DSP with this card, and I'll show you here in a minute. So let me pull out so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm cutting these two sides, okay? Cutting the sides, and now we're going to cut our slits so we can put our card together. So I'm going to come up here, and I can see this little center line right there. Just going to cut up to that center line. Boom. I'm going to turn it around because that's the top. So if I have the top, I want the bottom over here, and I'm going to cut up, and there's my center line. I can see it. Boom. Okay. So now I have this one done perfectly. Ta-da. Okay. And look how pretty. Isn't that pretty with the stamping and the DSP? And it seems a little flimsy, but hey, we're going to fix that. Because you see these pieces that you just cut off right here? Well, guess what? They're going to fit perfectly right there. So we're going to take this. We're going to take this, and it's going to fit perfectly, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this over, and I'm going to clip this like that, and then I'm going to turn it over. And what I did is I just basically kind of clip the end, and then I'm just going to cut. I'm just going to draw myself a nice little pattern right here. Okay, and then I'm going to clip this so that I have a triangle. And it's an awkward shape, but you can get a triangle out of it. All right, just fold it down. Let me pull in here so you can see. So I'm just folding it down, and I'm just making sure that I have a line right here, and then I'm gonna clip that so I have a good triangle. All right, now this should be a good triangle for that. All right. Okay, so now I'm just going to take this triangle. I'm going to use this as my pattern for my other triangle. So I'm just going to put it right there. See that? That was that extra piece from the ends. And now I have a perfect triangle. Now, if you want, and this is what I'd recommend, go ahead and cut another triangle out of these other two pieces. One, you can use it as a pattern for another card that you make, or you can just throw it into the card pack. Okay, when you download my PDF from my site, just throw it in a document holder. See this? This is, let me get out here. This is my document holder, and what I do is if I have a card that I'm putting together, and I go ahead and I put this in a document holder, and then if I have any like this is my pattern, right? I throw this in the back of my document holder, and if I have any little pieces or patterns, I throw that in there too. And I put this in a book, a binder, with a sample card so that I can always go back and refer to it. And you can even print off my blog if you want and just put it in there. And there you have, you can begin to compile your library of fancy fold cards, because this is really something that you need to kind of you know, put aside to remind yourself. Okay, so now that we've done that, let me grab my little, we're going to put these on these little squares here. Let me grab my silicone mat. Hi, Ada, and there's someone else that says great tutorial. I love when people say stuff. So I wonder where you guys are from. Let me know where you're from. Okay, so then we're just going to put this right here on that flap, like that. Okay, and then we're going to put this one. I'm going to put this one. I love the silicone mat. It's a little messy, but it'll all work out. Okay, we're going to put this one right there. Okay, let me get my silicone mat. Let me wipe it off. Close my glue. Okay, and there you go. Now, you know, I do have some pencil marks. I recommend this pencil, and this white eraser is great because it's not very hard on your paper. So if if you see a couple of pencil marks you want to get rid of, hey, you don't have to stress. It'll come off, okay? Now this is also the pencil eraser I use when I use my photopolymer stamps for the first time. I kind of go over them. It takes off I want to say the factory film, so that they take ink right away. So there's another little tip for you. Okay, isn't that pretty? And here's this one. Isn't that pretty? Very, very pretty. Now I'm going to, I think what I'm going to do is I think I want to take, I'm working live, sometimes I'm working on the fly, so, oops, you just kind of have to stick with me. I think I'm going to put some right around here, yeah. All right, I think that's good. Let me just kind of fill these little areas in right here, and okay, I think that's good. Let me close my ink so that I don't stick my hand in it. Not that anyone's ever done that, right? Not that we've ever like forgot to close an ink container and stuck our hands in it. No, who would do something like that? Oops, I have to clean this off because I got ink on it. But see how easy? I love this thing. This is really a good little tool. Okay, so now that we have that, let's see, this is the front and this is the back. So what I want to do with these other two pieces that I had is I want to stamp the back. I do. Look at this. I can't let that go like that. But I'm going to pick another pattern. I'm going to pick this pattern. And I'm not really going to get too crazy. I'm just going to kind of approach it like this. Okay, and then there is a pretty cool little thing here that I can add kind of very prettily right there. And I'm just trying to give it just a little bit of, see that? Look, I'm just going to give it a little bit of extra pattern here, just so that the back looks a little dressed. It looks a little undressed if I just leave it alone. But this is working with just plain cardstock. So you got to kind of play around with it, and I think it's nice to stamp the back. So here's the front, and here's the back. I got to clean off my silicone mat and kind of wipe down my paper. All right, so now for the front of our card, another thing you can do, which I think is kind of cool, is you can grab a sponge and you can go ahead and go around the edge of your white cardstock just to give it just a little bit more differentiation. That's a big word to me, make it look different. And you just kind of go like that. And this just is just trying to show you how you can kind of dress up, you know, your plain white cardstock when you do this. You can even fold this like this and go along your folds. Okay, and let's just fold this and go along this fold here, right? And it's just going to kind of, because your pattern is just kind of very eclectic and loose, you know, it doesn't hurt to just kind of, you know, just add, look, kind of just make this, if you've got a little bit of ink that's kind of, you know, maybe where it shouldn't be, well, just go with it. Just kind of play. I mean, look at that. And the same with the back. Just kind of, you know, go with it a little. If it's a little smeary, well, let it smear. I mean, there you go. Isn't that pretty? And it's very loose. It's not meant to be structured. You don't have to worry about it. There is no wrong answer. All right. So now we're going to decorate the fronts of our cards. So we're going to need a piece of, I like to layer, and let me make sure my fingers are clean. I like to layer this with a piece of, I'm going to use this DSP. Look how pretty that DSP is going to look. And I'm going to layer this with the same DSP, but I cut out a couple of interesting pieces. In fact, I could even do the same right here, but I do like the look of the DSP. But I'm going to layer it on a piece of cardstock on the front, and I need the same piece on the back because I want to create a piece of white for my sentiment. So I'm going to cut, and that dimension is, if you're using the DSP, you want this to be 3.5 by 2.5, and the Whisper White, your layering piece, is going to be 1 3/4 by 3 3/4. So let me just pull that off to the side and bring in my favorite little cutter here. I love this thing. Make sure I'm out all the way. So that is 1 3/4. So there's 1 3/4. Oh, is that really? That's 2 3/4. I think it's 2 3/4. Yeah, it's 2 3/4. Okay, that's 3. So it's 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, which should be right here. All right, so that's going to be the back. And I want another one. I could even use this, you know. It doesn't have to be, what is that? Yeah, 3 3/4. I can use this piece as the back. So you use one piece of cardstock, and then this is going to be my layered piece. Now this is going to be the front, this is the back. There's going to be my layered piece. So I want my Whisper White my DSP, excuse me, I'm thinking fast. I probably had too much coffee this morning. So this piece, our DSP, is going to be 3.5 by 2.5. So let me do 3.5, and that's 4. So that's 3.5 right here by 2.5 right there. And that should fit nicely on this. No, which one does it go nicely on? Yes, see? Perfect. Goes nicely on that. So now let me bring in my silicone mat and my glue. And now we're going to glue this down right here with my little silicone mat. So and I'm going to put this on my 3.5 or 2 3/4 by 3 3/4 Whisper White. Okay, so there we go. And then this is going to be put on the front of our card right here. So I'm going to put this here. You know, you know, this is kind of pretty. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think this would be prettier? Let's check this out. Hold on. Because this is really very, very plain, but I kind of like the way that goes. What do you think? I think I like this as the outside. See that? I think I'm going to go with that, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to turn this around, and isn't that crazy? You think you're going to go one way, and then you go the other. But you know what? That is what I love about crafting. I love that you can sit and do something, and you can sit here and talk to yourself in my craft room while you guys are watching somewhere in the world, and I can just kind of talk to you about what I'm thinking and allow it to go another direction. So there you go. That's going to be the front of our card. I really, really like that because I love this bold pattern. Okay, now this card is going to have this piece, and what we're going to do is I've already cut out 2 of the word framelits. I'm having a hard time picking up the other one because okay, I cut out 2 of the word framelits, and these are the framelits that come with this bundle. Okay, wonderful bundle. So I think I'm going to put this one here, and I'm going to put, I'm struggling with these nails, and this one here. Isn't that pretty? That will go good, and then this one will go good here, and then I can use this as kind of a it's kind of some texture on my card. See, I can kind of, oh, that would be pretty. Wouldn't that be pretty? Just like that. All right, so let me go ahead and glue these down. Just some interesting shapes that we're just going to glue. I'm going to glue down there. And again, I just wanted to show you how you can make this card using just Whisper White 12 by 12 cardstock or some 12 by 12 DSP. All right, so there we have that, and there we have that. Now I'm going to take these 2 pieces in, and let me wipe the glue off my fingers and just kind of clean my little silicone mat here, turn it around, and let me grab my sentiments that I want to put. And these are going to go on some rather large blocks right here, and this is called Just Saying Hello, and I like this one for here. And let me make sure this thing sticks. I'll put that on and just kind of press it a little bit, because sometimes they can be, I don't know, they can be a little finicky. And this has a little blue on it. I don't want that. I'm going to turn it down this way. And I'm just going to straight up, straight down. There you go. Just saying hello. And if I don't like that, I can, oh, I have another one. Let me see if this one comes out better. Okay, that one looks better. We'll use that one. All right, so let me clean off this ink, put this one aside, and I'm going to grab my other sentiment, which is this one that I really like. This one goes perfectly with this long piece right here, and it just fits really nice right there. Isn't that pretty? Again, let me get this out. Just quickly wipe down my stamp, move my block out of the way. Thank you for thank you for telling me that looks good. I'm glad you like that choice. My little glass here is wet. Okay, so now we're going to pop this one up here and this one up here. And I'm working live, so I'm going to turn these around so you can kind of see what I'm looking at. Because when I'm working live, everything has to go upside down so you can see. When I'm taping them, that's when I have to, it doesn't matter because then I can turn it around in editing. And then if you watch my last video, you will see that I got confused and some of my cards were upside down and my other cards were right side up. So I'm just a hot mess when it comes to trying to go between live and taping. Now I have some black dimensionals which I don't want to use. Let me go get my other dimensionals. I need a new pack. Okay, so let me open my new pack of dimensionals here. I usually have them over here on the side, but I guess I went through them. See, I kind of keep them in a little envelope here that I have in my right in my crafting room, my little crafting caddy that I have right next to my desk with all my stuff. Everybody, I'm sure everyone has a little crafting caddy or a little spot where kind of all their stuff kind of ends up. Okay, so here are my dimensionals. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull off the papers. And this is going to go very nicely right there. Isn't that pretty? And then let me pull off these dimensionals are going to go very nicely. And I don't like saggy middles, so I'm going to put, and I just picked up 3. I didn't do that. I didn't do that intentionally. This particular pack seems to they want to cling together. All right, and this one's going to go like this. It's going to go right here. Now, I love, love, love. Isn't that pretty? Those are very pretty. They're very different. Now, in here, I have my little pack and see, these come like this, okay? I can't work with them like that. So I have these cute little boxes, and I tape the little thing in there, and then these are all my elements. So I like to put see, I think this would look lovely with that, and some of these elements break, so let me show you. I got all kinds of, see, like this one broke, and then I just basically kind of make sure it's broken off. And then I have like a little one that goes off right there. See that? And for this one, I kind of like just putting some shapes. So I'm just going to put some shapes on it like that. Now, what I use to do this is I'm going to use my little pick tool right here, my little pick tool, and some lovely dots. Love these things. And we're just going to pick them up, and I'm just going to kind of roll it and put it on the back. I'm going to bunch it up and just put it on the back of my dot, and I'm just going to start out with a dot right there, and we will just put another dot, and let me pull in so you can see what I'm trying to do here. I'm just going to roll up another piece right here. I'm just kind of folding it over, and I'm going to pick it up with my pick tool, and you can see that there's like a dark side and then there's a very light side, which is the back. So you kind of have to get it on there, and I want to put this one right here, and then you just really just press that down, and I'll put another one right there. Again, just kind of fold this over a couple of times before you pick it up, and then just kind of lay it on the back of your, and these are probably the hardest to put down, so let me just kind of, and then we'll just put that one right, yeah, we'll just put that one right there. So there you go. Now we're going to flip this over, and I'm just going to get a piece of white cardstock. Now this is the one, because this is DSP, this is the one there you really need to have a nice piece of cardstock on the back. Okay, so before I go any further, we're going to cut this, because remember what my dimensions were for the white? It was 2 3/4. So 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. Oh, what did I do? That was, yeah, 2 by 3 3/4. Okay, and we're going to put this, and in this case I'm just going to use some snail. And when I put it on the back of this piece, right, because this is our DSP, it's going to help to kind of strengthen our card a little bit, so it's got a little bit more structure to it when you stand it up. Isn't that pretty? All right, so let's finish with this one. And I stuck these in here, so now all I have to do is, you know, I can just use some snail on the back of it, because it's going to go very neatly underneath right there like that. Look, there it is. It's not going anywhere. So let's do the same with this one, and let's just put some snail, and this is going to go right like that. So there is this piece. Now we had a piece of cardstock that we cut for this piece that we're going to just basically put back here. Now, if you want, and there is the back of that. Look at that, isn't that pretty? So if you want, you can decorate it, and this is how, here's one that I did, and I decorated the back of that, so you can do something like that if you wanted to decorate the back of that, but I think that's just lovely, just like that. So here is our card, and here is our other card, and I really love this this foliage here that really kind of goes with these wood elements that come with the bundle. But that is really a very lovely little card, and you just put it together like that. Isn't that pretty? And then this one you put together like this, and I just want to kind of show you that by decorating the backs, you can see that you have You have, you can see from the inside, you've got it stamped, and it just looks lovely. And then you use that extra piece. Look at that, and I just kind of stamped. You don't see any of the pencil marks. And then we use those extra pieces, and that just looks really, really lovely. I really, I love this set. This is the Tasteful Textures set. I love the paper. I love the stamps. I love the dies. There's just a lot that you can do with this. So here you go. This is Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. Using the Tasteful Textures bundle right here to create these fancy fold standalone cards. I hope you enjoyed the video. Look at all these wonderful, look, you get a lot of product with this particular suite. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and share, and come back and see what I have for you next week. Stay well.